high. So let's have a quick look at the data-driven tier list I assembled by watching at the SBB tracker's collected data from all players who opted in for the data collection. What? Oh, wait a minute, I have to drag it over here. So what I found quite interesting is that it would have actually made sense to make an S tier for Wonderwaddle and Xalua, as there was quite a gap between Xalua and Fallen Angel. So due to the tracker data, Wonderwaddle and Xalua are the strongest heroes to pick right now. I wasn't really successful at the start of the season with Xalua. I had some crazy fast lobbies and didn't make it to top 4 2 or 3 times, so I didn't think he would be that strong this season, but I surely give him a few more shots. I'm not surprised that Peter Pans is really doing well. Actually, he's my most successful hero this season I have played more than 10 times with. I think I have 17 from 20 games in top 4 with Pans, so no surprise here. I'm a little surprised that Pied Piper is really that strong, as I'm not as successful with him. Yeah, the +1/+1 to animals in the early game guarantees a stable early game, but I really struggle to find a good mid-game plan with him, as you're committed to taking animals early on, and Bierstein is not competitive at the moment at the meta game. At tier B, I ranked the Cursed King first. He's really a strong early game economy, and the drawback of having to cast a spell each turn to not lose life is really not that hard. I found it pretty interesting that Sharebear did quite worse on average compared to the Cursed King, so the drawback of Sharebear given an extra gold to your opponent seems to be pretty heavy. I was a little bit surprised to see Galahad that high. It might be due to the low sample size. I don't remember exactly, but it was only around 200 to 300 games, I think, that were sampled with Galahad. There's 3 heroes actually with less than 100 games in this database, so the sample size is even smaller. But let's get the next one first. Apocalypse is surprisingly strong here. I didn't think myself of it as being that strong, but maybe I just don't take it as often as I should, as I just don't like late game heroes at the moment, as I really try to avoid those 7th and 8th places that really costs a lot of ranking. The Mad Catter has a great early game, but yeah, I struggle with him, as you practically play almost without a hero power mid-game, but I think B-Tier is fine. The Fates is fine in B-Tier too, for my taste. I was really surprised to see Ivella that high, but I think the sample size was a bit low on her too, with a little less than 200 games, so I would definitely put her lower, maybe into a D tier. Loki is a really random hero. The few times I have picked him this patch, he did worse than B tier for me, so I probably would have put him into C tier myself, as I really don't like random heroes. Maybe even high D tier. Sharebear is okay where he is, I think. Morgan did clearly better for me this patch. Ah, good point. Good point. You put Loki to C tier? Interesting. Yeah. Really interesting approach. This is data-based, so this is the average results of the Mystics players that opted in to the SBB tracker. Yeah, good point. I show my personal tier list after this one, after I'm ready going through this one. Morgan Le Fay did far better for me than B tier, so I'd rank her A tier, but yesterday proved me a little wrong as I low rolled 2 times with her. Yeah, this is a database, the average results from all Mythic players that opted in, and I was quite surprised, to be honest, to see Geppetto averaging that low. But let's take a look at the C tier first. Skip being first of C tier? Yeah, I agree. It was really a good last patch. I had tons of fun playing this patch again. Yeah, maybe. That's what I think too with some other... Maybe a lot of players get Geppetto wrong. What do you think? My results with Geppetto are average. Also, I think I put it in this C tier list. Because it's really dependent on how early you get Princess Peep, or am I wrong? What do you think? Oh, really? Doesn't he struggle with the late game transition? As Bierstein is not really that strong that you can reliably win lobbies with it, or what do you think? Maybe I should give Geppetto a few more tries. But let's see. What do you think of the rest of the average tier? C is average results from the average players. Yeah, sure. As soon... I think Grandmother is fine. The 50 HP really... Yeah, Sharon ranks a little lower for me too. But I think it's still C tier. Maybe at the bottom. I do a little better with Gwen on average. And Mask is fine here too. It's just a little RNG heavy for my taste, depending on what heroes you get to choose from, but it's an average hero. Just like this one too. So I think the C tier is data-driven pretty okay. Yeah, Sharon really only helps to stabilize the early game. That's why I put her personally lower. And I personally ranked Geppetto a little higher, but maybe... Yeah, I'm not a really Bierstein expert. I think I only played it a few times, and that's 2 or 3 patches ago. As really the last patch was a Dwarves meta, and now we're deep into a Tree Ants meta, so I neglected Geppetto a little. Yeah, that's a good point. But if you play Potion Master like Pants, I went into the trap a few times. I don't have nearly the results with Potion Master compared to Pants. But having a lot of spells surely helps to scale your spell use and so on. Are there any surprises at D tier for your taste? I was a little surprised how bad Horde Dragon does on average. I don't have a lot of games myself with it. For sure, Pants gets actually use of playing like Pants. Yes, that's why he's my favorite hero, but I think you know that already. I wasn't surprised at all. Yeah, Merlin is doing under average. After he was nerfed, it was such a big nerf. I was really surprised that going down from +2 attack to 1 attack was such a big nerf. I did over averagely with Merlin before the nerf, and after that, my average with Merlin really went below average. And then that's when I stopped picking him consistently. So I have experienced this myself. Merlin was always one of my favorite heroes, and bam! -1 attack made a whole lot of a difference. So Trophy Hunter is no surprise here. Personally, I'd rate it even lower because it's pure RNG. Yeah, I'm with you. Merlin was a little overpowered before, but I was surprised that such a little change made such a big difference. I think the Headless Horseman is a nice example for what you mentioned too regarding Geppetto. Maybe a lot of players misplay the Headless Horseman. I have 6 games with the Horseman in this patch, and I think I went 6 times to top 4 with him, just playing him as an economy hero. I really put the spells out early, as soon as I was confident to win. Yeah, I think that's the reason why he's so low. And you have crazy economy early on. It's basically like 6 extra gold if you hit 3 times early. And that's huge. So you go usually with almost full HP into the mid-game with Headless Horseman and are free to transition wherever you want. Yeah. My favorite pick with Headless Horseman is Egg for sure, and Tiny is great too. I'm always confident when I pick Tiny or an Egg to put out the first kidnap in round 1. Here's one big surprise for my taste, and that's Miri. Miri is one of my most consistent heroes, this patch and the last one. I played in total 20 games with Miri, and made 17 top 4s with him. I don't understand how hard other players need to misplay him that he gets to eat here. That's the only real surprise for me. Yeah, that's for sure. Playing Headless Horseman like a late game hero is a big mistake. And my guess is what other players get wrong with Miri is how hard you have to force royals exactly. The interesting part with Miri is, in my experience, I can stabilize in the early mid-game almost all of the time when other players get rid of their early royals and Miri starts tripling like crazy. But you have to stick with royals up to that point and don't get unconfident and start picking other stuff. Yeah, I think that's the big difference in my play. I really go for the royals and roll like crazy. I don't feel bad when I have to roll at turn 3.0 and only pick 1 royal instead of 2 other units. And so I often end up with single-digit HP in the late mid-game with Miri, but then Miri goes boom. Upgraded Arthur, other upgraded royals, upgraded Romeo and Juliet, and I had several first places after going to a single-digit HP, and after that losing no more game with Miri and taking out a lot of other players late mid-game because of all of my board was upgraded at that point. I was actually quite successful last patch with Royals too, because they were wide open. If you're the only player picking Royals, it worked really well for me. I had 12 games last patch with Royals, and it was 11 times top 11 with Royals with Miri. Are you surprised to see Punch Shadow that low? I'm 11? 11 times top 11? Hey, Cocodon. 11 times top 11? Did I say that? No, I meant top 4, sorry. Yeah, I'm not a native English speaker, so bear with me here. No, I played Miri 12 times the last patch before this one, and went 11 times top 4 with him, because the royals were that wide open and he was that unpopular, so it fit right into the gap for me. Yeah, I'm neither really surprised about Pen's Shadow, as his ability is really super hard to play around. You're missing out a lot on level 3 treasures, and before it kicks in, it's 4.1 earlies, maybe 4.2, where you have an actual benefit of a tripling force. So I think it's okay to put in there. As I said earlier, this is a data-driven tier list. I assembled this tier list by collecting the data from the SBB tracker that is published. And Mad Catter is most fun hero to play. If you get lucky, he's the strongest hero until extremely late game. Yeah, I had one of those Catter games to this patch. I rolled 3 times mid-game bonuses onto tree ends, and I said, thank you, Catter. But it's not a guarantee. But I think it's okay to put in B tier where he's on average. I made my own pick list too for this patch especially, and I'd like to share this one too, and I'm really curious about what you guys think about my personal pick list. I dislike 2 RNG based heroes. I generally dislike late game heroes, and I'm really a friend of early game heroes that guarantee you to avoid those nasty 7s and 8s places that really tank your rating.